does your friendship circle seem to dwindle as you grow older?
The friends that you had in high school are not really going to carry you into your 30s.
Sometimes you think it's easier maybe to try and make new friends.
But there are some friendships that I've let slip that I'm like, regret type of thing. Regret sets in a bit later.
Welcome, ladies. I've got with me again Dr. Debs.
Hello.
And there's Tavia.
Hi.
Okay, so why is that? The older you get, it seems as though your circle just decreases. Like you can count on one hand how many friends you have. Whereas when you were in, I don't know, primary school, secondary school, college, uni even maybe, you had like 20 friends. Your Instagram pictures is like 20 of you, like squad girls.
Oh no.
But the older you get, what's going on? Why does that happen? And actually, there is a Yoruba adage that says 20 children cannot play together for 20 years.
That makes sense.
Or can they?
That makes sense.
Let's discuss. Why is that? Why does our friendship circle just shrink as we grow older? What? I know there are obviously many reasons. So let's get into that, and then let's then get into what we can support people, because there may be people, actually, you may be in a season of your life where you need friends, you need a friend, and it seems as though everybody that you used to hang around with are just all gone in different directions. So we trust that the Lord's Spirit will minister to you today as we delve into this topic.
Absolutely.
Okay, and help you pick out things that you can do, because even the Bible says he who will have friends must also show himself friendly. Okay, so there are responsibilities that we all have to take on when it comes to friendship. So let's get into it.
Essentially, it reminds, when you said about 20 children can't play together for 20, it reminded me of my 21st birthday, actually.
Okay.
I just remember having so many people, literally, and looking back, I'm like, how many of those people do I even speak to now, heading closer to the other end of the 20s, the other end. I'm like, wow. But at the time, it just felt so... They all felt so relevant in my life at that time. Yeah. And over time, I think there's been some natural ends to certain ones. And I still have some of those friends till date, but in different stages of life, one or the other friend has maybe just either drifted apart, or I haven't fallen out with anyone, I think. Not to my knowledge, anyway. But I think, natural ends to things.
Interesting.
Essentially.
Just picking up on something you said there before I come to Nurse Tavia. So natural end to things and just different phases of life as well. So relationship may come to an end because a natural end to things. You have nothing in common anymore. Okay, you're no longer the two 25-year-olds or the 16-year-olds that you were. You're maybe in your 40s, 30s, 50s even. Okay,
or older.
And it's like you are in a different phase of your life, and things have come to a natural end. I'll pick up on that point just a bit, because there's something I want to elaborate further. But Nurse Tavia, what do you want to add to this?
I think as well, for me, I think it's just like, different phases of life, like what my sister is saying. But I think it comes to the whole idea about alignment, because oftentimes, you find that as you grow older and you begin to align with your purpose and you think about your values, morals can come into that as well. You find that the friends that you had in high school are not really going to carry you into your 30s or into your 50s, because now, what we defined as friendship is high school. That was more fun, more play. But when you become then in your 30s, it's more about thinking about purpose. It's now thinking about, life. I've got a family to think about. I've got children to raise. Does this friend of mine that I had in high school still on the same trajectory as me? So really, it's kind of like navigating, because what I found is, yes, some of the friendships that I have had in high school I've kept because we're aligned. You see, we've got the same purpose. We're walking onto the same journey. But those that were just for fun and games,
they're so far, they went by. Same happened when we got to university. You made friends, you know, you build communication. Maybe it was because you're doing the same course or whatever. But after you get to a different stage, those people walked away because, you know, migration happens, people move to different cities, and, you know, you just lose that level of communication.
Wow.
But I think alignment is very important.
Wow.
You know, because you know, there's that saying that speaks about birds of the same feathers flock together, don't they?
Yeah.
So if we're not the same,
Wow.
may you blow your
And I
wind,
think as
blow different
as you
direction.
grow and your priorities, different
absolutely.
priorities come in, and not that you want to let those friends go, but it just happens, that again you're not aligned and your priorities differ.
Wow.
Essentially.
I think that is so profound because you know the Bible talks about times and seasons. So I absolutely understand the times and seasons of your life. Understand the times and seasons of the friendships that you are in. If they do not align with your values and your purpose, actually, maybe it's time to audit. Okay, and I hate that term. It sounds very, very
He likes audits.
Yeah, nobody likes audits.
They're always necessary.
It's very
One thing
necessary.
about audits, they're always necessary.
Yes. So
and most of the
audits,
times they just add in to you know what you're already doing. They add in or improve what you're already doing as well.
That is so key. Audit your relationships. And actually, I want to say something. Don't hold on. Don't be afraid to let a season end when in a relationship or in a friendship, because that's what we're talking about. Don't be afraid to let a season end. Don't be afraid to let things come to a natural end or a death, because don't hold on to friends because you've known each other for 20 years. But what are they contributing to your life right now? Are you aligned in purpose? Are you aligned in your values right now? So don't hold on. For anybody holding on to something or holding on to people because you feel like, well, I've known this person for 25 years. They're my bestie. I can't just let them go. Ask yourself, are you aligned in your values and in your purpose right now? Wow, ladies, this is so good. This is so enriching.
I think what you mentioned about holding on as well actually just brought to mind, though, there are some friendships that may be kind of going towards that natural end that may be dying out. But sometimes you find that it's actually, there are some that you may need to maybe put in that work or put in that effort to hold on to, because sometimes we do let things slip. Maybe I'm just talking personally. But there are some friendships that I've let slip that I'm like, regret type of thing. Regret sets in a bit later. So I'm learning from that. It's just, again, you said auditing. You really just look at everything all together and think, okay, I need to put more effort here. I need to put more effort there. Yes, we do have natural ends, but certain things may not need to end necessarily. So yeah, I think it's just kind of weighing up, and it's not a one size fits all. Essentially, it's not a one size fits all. You kind of balance it out, and you judge with discernment and wisdom, really.
And I think it's also about intentionality, because if you think about it, you know who's for you, and it's also kind of like having the level of understanding. Because I think the more you mature, the more you grow, you become more aware that, okay, I understand that, yes, this is my friend and I need them, but also understanding what is it that they're going through within their life. What stage are they at? If your friend is beginning to start a family, don't expect that you're going to be seeing them every weekend. We're going to be out, girl, at the spa, doing our thing like what we used to do before, because, their priorities have now changed. So I think it's very important. And this is what you find when friendships or, they start to break down. It's just because people have forgotten or have not fully communicated with one another. That the same way that you communicate with your partner, the same way you communicate with your colleagues, be open with one another, be transparent. Girl, I'm going through it, sis. Like, child, that job out there is having my back, this is where I'm at. Maybe I just need this time alone, to just navigate the season that I'm at. My family needs me a little bit more, but it's not that I'm setting you aside at the moment in time, but just understand. So it's just having that level of understanding of the different
stages and seasons
that people are
that
at.
people are
And
at.
sometimes that just
Yeah.
is not received well, to
Yeah.
be very honest. You have to, and quite a lot of the times actually, if you have that conversation, it's not always received so well, actually. So I think our communication, we can communicate all we want, but it's also as to how the other person receives it. Because friendship is a two-way thing, really.
100%.
Yeah, the reception is very. It will also add to the end result as to whether that friendship stays, that friendship doesn't stay.
Okay, I want to pick up on something that you said earlier about, intentionality, in terms of knowing that there's some friendships that you actually shouldn't have let go of. Do you understand? You're thinking, maybe you're at a different stage in your life where you're thinking, I want to get back to how we were, knowing fully well that, let's just say the person understands that, okay, this person is a different phase, maybe chasing career, pregnancy, raising a family, or whatever. They understood that, and you want to get back to, and maybe you're now in a season of your life where you think, okay, I think I long for those days. Do you know what I mean? You long for those days sometimes. Let's be real. You long for those days where you can talk with your bestie or your group of friends about whatever, but maybe your conversation is changed now because you're now talking about maybe your spouse. To some extent, you're talking about your children. Your conversation is different, but then
sometimes you hope it's not annoying to the other person,
right? But you are longing for just being able to pick up the phone to somebody and just have a rant and just have a chat about everything else going on in your life. And I'm not talking about it in a destructive way. Oh, my spouse is doing this. No, but just like, what is going on with you? Do you know what I mean? How do you manage that? How do we manage that? We've talked about intentionality. You know that relationship has gone a bit sour. Okay. How do you then build that if you think, right, this person is a really good friend to me and I particularly wasn't maybe the best or whatever, and then has this ever happened to you?
I think you've talked about maybe two different scenarios here. I think you mentioned one going sour and then one kind of natural end.
Natural end.
I think there are two different.
Let's go with the natural end.
That one you can just text. That I think that one comes easier. Like, it's been a while. How are you? If that's kind of reciprocated, then you kind of know where the other person is. But sometimes you do get and then that, okay, maybe I shouldn't push with this. But if that's because that's happened with me, with someone else reaching out to me, and now we're literally like this. Hadn't spoken to her for maybe 6-7 years. Literally reached out, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, hi,
wow,
yeah." So I think that natural end thing, kind of like, oh yeah, we left school, and we went to different cities, as you mentioned, and this and those kind of natural end stuff. It can be easier to rekindle, but I think the other end can be a bit more tasking of you. Yeah.
And sometimes you just don't have the emotional bandwidth to kind of go back. And sometimes you think it's easier maybe to try and make new friends or just leave it all together. And, my husband is my best friend or my wife is my best friend kind of thing. That's interesting. So, yeah, just send a text and just kind of follow the natural process and see how it goes. But obviously read the cues. If they don't reach out to you, if they're not interested, maybe it's time to put it to bed.
Maybe try another time. Maybe maybe they're going through a hard time, but generally it's kind of like
interesting. I read something a while ago about somebody going through a bereavement of their parent, and the friend said they knew, obviously they took it really, really difficult. So the friend, everybody was trying to reach out to this one friend, but they just were not answering anybody. So this guy then sent a text to his friend and said, I will commit to ringing you at 10 a.m. every day until you are ready to talk. I mean, that's purposeful. That is purposeful and going them out. I will commit to ringing you at 10 a.m. every day until you answer the phone, just so that you know that I'm thinking about you, just so that you know that I am looking out for you. And I just thought, before I go into it further, isn't that just like a perfect example of how the Father just every day is thinking about you? He's like, I have you in mind. Whenever you're ready, girl, whenever you're ready, I'm here for you. Anyway, back to the story. So this guy did not pick up the phone for 3 months. But this other friend on the other end rang him every single day at 10 a.m.
Wow.
and hung up the phone.
Commitment.
He did not pick up the phone. But then at the end of 3 months, the guy on the other end picked up the phone and said, I'm ready to talk now.
Wow.
Isn't that just like a romantic? I mean, it's not, these are, but it's just like, wow. The commitment. So can you, if you think that friendship is worth pursuing, are you willing to go that extra mile? The Bible says, he who will be, who will have friends must show himself friendly. Do you know what I mean? Somebody's going through something. Are you willing? Do you have that capacity to, I mean, that's a long, that's a commitment and a half.
That's the kind of friend you want as well, though. But yeah, you've got to be that friend anyway. But yeah, that's literally the kind of friend everyone wants.
And it actually also reminds me of the story of the 4 friends, the paralytic man and the 4 friends. Who his friends thought, now we are not giving up on you. Jesus is in town. We are going to break a roof. We're going to, and lower him. I just think that's just a perfect, it demonstrates commitment. And obviously, how can we do that in our modern day? The calls, the texts, and stuff. Yeah. Anything further to add?
Go.
I think, reaching out is quite important. I know, like, sometimes someone has spoken about text. But I find, like, if it was already a relationship that was a little bit broken or whatever it is, an actual call is better. Because, oftentimes I found, like, text can be misread depending on what it is that the person is going through. If I am going through my literal phase season, girl, and I am out there annoyed, everything, I might read your text or something else and not then bother to. And I think, like, with the call, you're able to understand what, really listen to the person's tone, how they are, and then you can get a better picture of, is this the right time? Whereas in a text, it's hard to gauge whether it's the right time or not. So I feel like if it's a relationship that's been a little bit, or friendship that's been a little bit sour, making that, and they might probably see it more, it might be received better because then they're like, oh, they're really, they made an effort. Like text, we can text anybody, you just, it's just, so that extra effort can actually be seen because you're taking your time out to, make that call. I know we're not in Africa where you have to pay for airtime, that kind of thing. But I think the person would receive it a little bit more. So for me, that would be an approach that I find it's a little bit more better. Yeah, heartfelt, really. Because then I'm like, oh, okay, I can gauge the tone. I'm like, okay, this is good. Yes, we are busy and it's very hard to then navigate the situations. But I feel like that person would appreciate it more to say, oh, okay, she's actually taking time out of her busy schedule and everything else that's going on around her life to make this phone call for me. So let me just acknowledge it a little bit more. And they might even, if they had hard feelings, they're able to actually maybe just calm down, Salar, and think, oh, okay, this is what the person is really, they're thinking about me. So I think that's my approach really when it comes to situations like that.
Yeah,
it's good. I mean, it's nice, when you know that people are genuine and it's nice to be thought of. Do you understand? It's nice to know that somebody cares about you, other than your spouse and your children, because sometimes we can get all wrapped up, and sometimes I think as women we can lose our identity sometimes in terms of just family, career or whatever, that we forget who we are or who we were, and then the other parts of us, the other sides to us, that we don't kind of we just shut that up. We don't explore that anymore because this is who we are. No, you can be. We are created for relationships.
Yes.
And the diversity is, and that God created us. Or we're all unique, isn't it? We're all different. Yeah. And doesn't that just speak to how sometimes our relationships, what the benefits of diversity, right? In terms of relationship. And I'm not talking about diversity in terms of ethnicity. I'm just talking about maybe in terms of the maybe personalities and stuff that come into your life.
Bounce off each other
that really, really enriches your life, right? Okay, so yes, absolutely, it is important that we understand the seasons, the times and seasons that we're in our lives. We understand the times and seasons that the other person is at. you also need to understand that the people that you're currently with, do they align with who you are right now? Because
all of that is the auditing aspect of all of it.
Audit your relationships, understand your times and seasons, go after the friendships that you know that you should pursue.
Yeah.
Don't hold on to friendships just because of virtue of time frame. Because you've known somebody for 20 years but you're no longer aligned, don't hold on to it. Is who they are now, do you understand, does that align with your value? Don't because you were friends in secondary school or college or uni but they don't speak to who you are now. It's okay to let things die naturally, to go to a natural end. Okay. Wow. Yes, this has been enriching, ladies. It's been your friendship circles will may decrease as you grow older, but it's important that you do align yourself with people with the right values to you, who speak to who you are becoming. Because I feel like we're constantly evolving in terms of our identity and the things that we hold dear. So,
and there's also even that saying about your reflection. Lord English, you're a reflection of the 5 people around you, essentially. The 5 closest people around you. So that is definitely one to add in there.
So yes, look at the 5 closest people around you and audit yourself, audit your circle, and ask yourself, who am I? Who are my friends? Who are those that I call friends? And just view it that way. Yes. Thank you, ladies. This has been great.
Thank you for having us.
We will see you soon. Do not forget, every Friday we meet live on Zoom, 7 to 8 p.m. UK time, where our teachers, the leaders in the ministry, are teaching us on various aspects on fulfillment. We are the Fulfillment Ministry, and we hope to see you soon. Please like and subscribe to this channel and comment. We want to see your comments as well. Tell us what stood out to you the most, and we hope to see you soon. Take care and God bless you.
Bye.